Hi, we're in Kyiv. We're on the fifth day morning of our trip. We're 4 days in Lviv and just starting in Kyiv. Congressman Bonior, what's your initial reflections from your second trip to Ukraine? And what have you learned so far?
Well, they're still resilient and they're still hopeful, the people of Ukraine, in this battle for their survival. But one of the things that we're focusing on this trip is mental health, because we've had reports from the World Health Organizations and we've seen it firsthand with workers. We've talked to soldiers and combatants, talked to students, we've talked to average workers, and there's a huge mental health problem you can imagine from having to withstand the aggression from one of the world powers and actually doing, if you had to measure this, reasonably well in trying to ward off the Russian attacks. So we've been talking to psychologists, social workers, organizations that are putting these pieces together in communities that have been affected by these massacres and murders to try to give help to people. And it's been, I think, as terrible as it is, it's been uplifting to see what they have done in terms of coming together to try to provide platforms to get enough people into these communities to deal with children, especially, who have trauma, lots of trauma as a result of this war. Combatants who have obvious trauma. That a huge percentage of the armed forces are suffering from mental health problems, anxiety, depression, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's been very uplifting. We're going to Bucha today, a city outside of Kyiv, a suburb, where the Russians came from the north, from Belarus, at the beginning of the expanded invasion. This war has been going on for 10 years, but the invasion, of course, started in February of 22, about 2 years ago. And Bucha was really hit hard. Hundreds of people were massacred and killed, their hands behind their backs, bullets to the head, and brutalistic, people raped. It was just horrific, and it was a war crime like Mariupol. It was just horrific. So we're going there to see how they've tried to overcome this. They rebuilt what the Russians destroyed already, and there's a film about that called Going Back to Bucha, by the way, which our audience can see if they go to YouTube, Going Back to Bucha. And we're going to see what they did, and that'll be, I think, really an important thing to do, and how they're coping in terms of the psychological problems that ensued.
Have you spent any time in shelters?
We sheltered, yeah. I think the second night we were in Lviv, the air raid sirens went off about 4:45 in the morning. I happened to just get up because I wanted to call my wife Judy, because that was 7 hours earlier and she was getting ready to go to bed. And then I went down, and you were down in the shelter, and as all were the other students. And it reminded me of the time we were here a year ago, where we had a meeting with students, and because the air raid sirens were off, we went out down to the shelter and we found a utility room, and we packed about 20 students in the utility room, and they told us about their concerns and their fears and their hopes.
The students were pretty memorable when we spoke to them. Any thoughts on what the students said to you?
Yeah, there's a lot of concern about the future and their future, the sense of guilt that they have, that they're survivors and others are fighting and they want to do more. You know, this is a nation at war, just not an army at war. The people are behind it almost 100%. And the students, the workers, everybody is giving something of themselves in order to repel the Russians and to get back their own territory. So it's on their minds, obviously, constantly. They want that American aid. It's really important. And I'm hopeful that while we're here, it gets done and they start to receive it, because their survival may depend upon it.
Thanks, David.